Good afternoon, people. Well, there's more information coming in on Ryan Bundy this morning and what he's going through and what those jailers did to him. Evidently, they broke his thumb and dislocated. He's got a head injury and also a knee injury. Now, remember, Ryan was shackled and handcuffed, and he was thrown down some metal or possibly concrete stairs. I think they're probably metal. And nobody's being answerable to what's taken place. Nobody's being held accountable at this point in time. And Ammon, who witnessed the whole thing, made some statements in the last few days, and he confronted one of the jailers on the subject. He gives his name. I think it was Officer Peterson. And the officer said, I don't care. We do what the feds tell us to do. And what you're seeing is their true colors. That is their true colors. They are not going to be held accountable to anything, and they are just going to do what they are told to do. And I've been saying this for some time, that they're compartmentalized on a need-to-know basis, and they don't care. And they really don't care. They have walled off their natural feelings, as it says in the scriptures, that the love of man shall wax cold in these last days, and which is really bad for them, because that means they're resisting the Spirit of God. It's through your heart that you receive the Spirit of God, that you communicate with God. And so, this is what they've done to themselves. Now, about this bullet that's in Ryan. Let's talk about Ryan Bundy a little bit first. I have the highest respect for Ryan. I think the way he has approached this whole court thing is the most noblest of every way. I have no trust in the attorneys, no trust in the federal judges. The federal judges do not recognize the Constitution of the United States. And what Ryan's doing by taking his approach as a free man, as the natural man, living common law, abiding by common law, abiding by the law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States, is the best way to expose them. Judges have said repeatedly across this nation, repeatedly, don't bring that Constitution into my court, as if it really is their court. But see, it's not the people's court anymore. And this goes all the way back to 1939 or 33, when we went into receivership through bankruptcy and under Roosevelt, and he basically gave us this country over to the world bankers, and now they're that group. And I'm not going to get into that, because who cares, really? All we know is it's tyrannical. So that's what I just have the greatest respect for Ryan Bundy, and he's one of the few people, and probably the only one I know, that could and would actually do that. Because this man, I said before, he's as tough as nails, and he's got a heart of gold. Okay, and I have the highest respect for him, and God has the highest respect for him. And what's happening is he's exposing them to the full weight of the spiritual law, the same way Elijah did it to the king's men of his time. And what did Elijah tell the king's men of his time, the captains of 50? Because thou knowest I am a righteous man. Be thou consumed. And they were destroyed. And that's exactly what Ryan is doing. He's exposing them to the full weight of the spiritual law. And, I just give him all the credit in the world for doing that. And then Ken Medenbach doing the same thing, representing himself. And I don't mean to say that to slight anybody else. I think it's important that every avenue is followed. Even the avenue that Ammon Bundy is taking, and the avenue that Michelle Lauder stands behind, I think it's important also that those avenues are pursued. And because to expose them to the full weight of the spiritual law, you also got to show them that they don't even abide by their own rules, you know, that they make up as they go along. So any way you look at it, they're being exposed. Now this bullet that's in Ryan Bundy. Now they've already taken x-rays of that bullet, okay? And I've been back and forth on this bullet and who shot it, because there's such a huge difference between the Oregon State Police rounds that they were shooting, the 5.65s, and the rounds that the snipers, the FBI snipers were shooting, which are 308 caliber, okay? And because that's going to be anywhere from 165 to 180 grain bullet, the 308 FBI rounds. Whereas Oregon State Police is going to be a 55 grain bullet, maybe a 60, but probably a 55 grain bullet, full metal jacket. And that's the other thing. They're both full metal jacketed bullets. Okay? So I do not believe that it is a shrapnel because they already took x-rays of it. They know what it looks like. They know what's in his shoulder. You take an x-ray of a bullet, I mean, it's like holding it in your hand. You know what you got in your hand. They already know what that bullet is, okay? And that's why I think the feds want to get it. Now, how are they going to use it? I got two theories. One is they're just going to lose the evidence. They're going to take it out and it's going to be gone, okay? And that might be the biggest evidence. The other theory I have from some of the things that I have recently seen is they just might want to throw the FBI under the bus, this hostage rescue team, because now they can say that was a rogue element, we're going to punish them, we're going to see to it that that never happens in place, and they just wash their hands of it like that, okay? And that alleviates the DOJ, Loretta Lynch, Comey, Brett Zing saying, oh, you know what, we had nothing to do with that, we're sorry, we will see to it that these men are prosecuted. Now, are they really going to be prosecuted? One of two things will happen there. Either they are going to go to like the Hilton Hotel federal prison, and they'll get to check in and out anytime they want, or they're just going to eliminate them like they did the hostage, or like they did the Navy SEAL Team 6. And I'll tell you, if I was one of those FBI agents, I would be very, very nervous at this point in time. And like I said before, the Leos out there, and it doesn't matter what alphabet suit agency that you work for, you are expendable. They are just using you. Make no mistake about it, okay? And with the possibility of Trump becoming president, they're going to they will do all they can to dump the blame on you. HRT team, FBI. And if you can't see that, then you are dumber than a box of rocks. So, anyhow, now let's say it turns out to be a 55 grain 5.65 Oregon State Police bullet. Well, all of a sudden now the feds can come back and say, you know who started the shooting was the Oregon State Police, because they did take the first shots at the first roadblock, okay? And then they can come back and say, you guys fired the first shot at the dead man's stop, and our firing was sympathetic firing. If you don't know what sympathetic firing is, it's when somebody shoots, and the way they look at it is, you know, let's put it like this, maybe this will help you better. If you've ever been an upland game bird hunter and have ever hunted over English pointers, which I have, I mean good pointers, when a dog goes on point, the other dog will honor that dog's point. A dog goes on point because it smells the game bird, and it knows precisely where that game bird is. and it will point. And then the other dogs all of a sudden will notice that dog on point, and then they will go on point. They haven't smelt anything. They haven't seen anything. But they look over and they see that their partner on point, and they go on point. So sympathetic shooting is simply this. When a Leo opens fire, the other Leos automatically assume that he's shooting for a purpose. And that purpose is to defend his life, defend their life, and so they return fire. They shoot also. Okay? So now the FBI can say, wow, that's a Oregon State Police round. And our people, the FBI, shot in sympathetic to them, assuming that they were trying to protect their lives and the lives of all the Leos. In other words, hey, it's your fault, Oregon State Police. You're the ones that actually shot first. Okay? So, you see how this can play out in multiple ways? And there is really, really a lot on the line here. Now, if Ryan can get that bullet, get it documented, get the forensics on it, which is the ballistics on it, and show that it was the FBI that did that. That changes, that does, either way, it's going to change a lot for him. And he wants to hold those cards. He wants to hold those cards, rightly so. It's his life that's on trial here, all right? And he wants those options to be able to go. And I'm not going to pretend that I know what all his options are. He's a smart man. He's a very intelligent man. And it's obvious that he wants to keep that bullet himself. I mean, look what he's been through to preserve the integrity of that evidence. He's beat up, broken, dislocated thumb, head injury, knee injury, and he's still in their custody. And forgive him if he doesn't trust them. Okay. So now, one of the things they've done is, remember, they're only doing what the feds are telling them. They put him in solitary confinement until the 17th of August. And from what I understand, we're supposed to be there on the 7th. So that's like a week and a half after the trial starts. They don't want him bringing this evidence out, damn it. Okay, so what do we do? And that is the big question. What do we do as patriots? What do we do as Americans? And that is really the big question. There's been a lot of protesting that's going on, and I'm glad for the protesting, don't get me wrong. I don't believe it's the end all of all. And, I've repeated this, or I said this, and I'm going to repeat it again, what Jesus was talking about binding the strong man. This goes back to, I believe it's Matthew and Mark. And when Jesus cast out the evil spirits, he was accused of doing it by the power of Beelzebub. And he tried to tell them that he's the one that can bind the strong man. The strong man is the devil. All right? And, you can't spoil the strong man's goods or his house. And in this case, they were talking about a physical body was the house of these evil spirits. He says you can't bind, or to spoil the strong man's house until you first bind him. And that goes all the way to the devil's representatives today, the evil representative, which I'm going to come out and say the federal judges, there's no doubt about it, they could care less about the Constitution of the United States. And also these Leos, these federal agents, these Oregon State Police jailers, these are all demons that, and if you want to cast them out, you've got to bind the strong man. And that is only done spiritually. That's the only way you can do it. And that's why I'm saying now what we really got to do. Well, there's a lot of people that say, well, we got to get violent. That's not going to work. I wish the heck it would work, but it's not going to work. So we got to fast. We got to pray. We got to plead with God. And that means we got to humble ourselves. That means we got to repent ourselves. We got to do some personal introspection, analyze ourselves personally, and ask God to show us where we can grow and progress and repent from our shortcomings and our weaknesses. And, you know, allow Him to fight our battles, because that's what He said He would do. He said in the last days, I will fight your battles. And, you know, right now, the federal government, the elites, they hold all the cards. Absolutely, they hold all the cards. And I think, and I'll come right out and say it, to win this in the courts is an illusion. They are doing indefinite detention. Basically, everybody is under martial law, and these courts are nothing but military tribunals. You've got to understand that they are nothing but military tribunals. And you people out there are considered the enemy, and this is a battleground, and it's all a big joke. It's all these federal courts. I mean, Cliven has said it time and time again. You go into a federal court and you look at that judge. That's a guy that beat up and raped your wife, and now he's judging you. And you know, the jury is a packed jury. The Supreme Court that oversees this is all packed. The only good guy that was in there was murdered, Chief Judge Scalia. The rest of them are jokes. Not completely, but pretty close. The defense attorneys are federal attorneys. You know, maybe they came out of the private sector to be working for the feds. That's what's taking place here. They're still bound by whatever the feds tell them, whatever that judge tells them. That judge has made him God. All right? He has committed blasphemy. Okay, I don't want to get in too much into the scriptures and this whole thing, but you know, when you raise your arm to the square, which is a sacred symbol, and you put your other arm in a square like this, okay, and you put your hand on a Bible, and you swear before God in heaven that you will honor and obey and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both domestic and foreign, and faithfully execute those laws, and then you go completely against it, and it's not even a gray area anymore. This is black and white. Total denial, as Ammon said in one of his latest audio clips, a total denial of the entire Constitution of the United States. He nailed it. It is a total denial of every amendment, every Bill of Right. Okay? Every Bill of Right is being violated now. Now, I will say this, you know, if you decide to do this the spiritual way, still protest. I'm going to be up there in the near future. I'm on the witness list, and I'm going to protest. I'll be out there protesting, and because, you know, we want to expose them to the full weight of the law. We want people to wake up, and we want to secure their consciousness on our side, and collapse that way for them towards a righteous state. So I will be there. I will be doing those same things. I wish I could have been in more of them, but for whatever reason, every time I turn around, something gets in my way. And I don't fight too hard to get anywhere anymore, because sometimes I think it's God just saying, you know, I don't want you to go here right now. Your time is coming. Okay? So anyhow, that's my perspective on this whole thing. God bless Ryan and his righteous efforts. We need to pray for him on a continual basis. Okay? Thank you so much.